everyone. I hope you all are doing really well today. So I wanted to film a video all about tips for people who have recently been diagnosed with Lyme disease. But I think that these tips are really helpful for almost anyone with Lyme disease or a chronic illness. So even if you've been sick for a long time, I suggest you continue watching this video because you might pick up a few things. I constantly get messages and emails and questions all the time about, I just got diagnosed, like what should I do? What treatment should I do? Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any tips? And so instead of typing that all out all the time, just like my Lyme story, I wanted to make a video where you could come to and get all the information. So I'm going to share everything that I know and, what information I can provide for you to you guys so that hopefully it's helpful and you learn some things and feel more comfortable with your whole treatment process. So I'm going to divide this up into two halves, essentially like the medical side of it and then the personal side of it, like personal tips, which will make sense as I go through this. So first things first, you think you might have Lyme or you just got diagnosed with Lyme disease and you're freaking out. Let me tell you two things. One, it sucks. Lyme sucks, and I'm really sorry that you got that diagnosis, but two, you finally got a diagnosis and you got the correct one. So when I first got diagnosed, my doctor said to me, good news and bad news. One, you have Lyme disease. Two, you have Lyme disease. Essentially, you finally have a diagnosis of all these symptoms that you've been running around chasing for years, and we can start addressing them, even though it's going to be a long process. So what I first suggest is if you were diagnosed using the CDC, Western blot, and ELISA, that's great that you tested CDC positive, but don't see an infectious disease doctor or a CDC doctor because all they're going to do is give you doxycycline for 2 weeks, and that's not going to knock out the infection unless you just caught it. If you're diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease, 2 weeks of an antibiotic isn't going to do anything. You need some more extensive long-term treatment. Now, hold up. My disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm not certified in any medical profession. So these are my personal opinions. This is my personal experience. This is from going through it and seeing others go through it. Please keep that in mind. These are my tips that I think are helpful. Any treatment recommendations I make are not to be taken, or to be taken with a grain of salt, because I'm not a professional. So first things first, you've been diagnosed. You got the CDC diagnosis. That's great, you were CDC diagnosed, but even if it wasn't CDC, no matter how you got the diagnosis, no matter what testing you did, find a Lyme literate physician. You need a Lyme literate doctor because they're the ones who are going to understand co-infections, mold, heavy metals, all the things that come with Lyme rather than just the Lyme itself, how your whole system's affected, autoimmune diseases manifest, etc., etc., etc. So find a Lyme literate physician. If you're in the United States, I suggest going to lymenet.org. I'll have it on the screen. Lymenet.org, Lyme. And you're going to go to the left side of the page and it says Flash Discussions. You're going to click on that and then you're going to create an account. So you'll use your email to sign up. And then what you can do is you can join the discussions for it says find LLMD, so find a Lyme doctor discussion. Join that. And what you can do is you can post where you are. You can say, hey, I live in small town Nebraska or wherever it is. Who's the closest Lyme doctor? Who should I see? And people respond really fast. There's a lot of people on those boards and they're going to email back with, hey, this is the best Lyme doctor in the area, or this is a list of the Lyme doctors, within the state or within the area. This one sucks, this one's okay, this one treats this way. So a lot of times they'll give you information about each doctor, which can be really helpful in your decision-making process of who you want to see or should see. So that's what I suggest. You got diagnosed, find a doctor. That's a great resource. Places like Global Lyme Alliance and some other sites, I'll link them below, do provide Lyme. ILADS does it, International Lyme and Associated Diseases Society, ilads.com.org, I'll link it. Provide kind of similar service. You can email them and be like, this is where I'm located, and they'll send you the Lyme doctors in that area. They won't give you information on each one, but they'll send you who is ILAD certified, and their some iLads doctors are shit, and some who aren't certified through iLads are Lyme doctors and are better. So that's why I like LymeNet the best. I think the second thing is I get questions all the time about what treatment should I do, or I have no money, I can't afford treatment. I made a video about affording Lyme treatment, which I'm going to link in the comments box below so that you can just refer to that. But if you're messaging me like, I don't know what treatment to do, again, I'm not a doctor. There are so many different options and so many different avenues you can take. What I want to tell you is this, and you may not want to hear it, but you need to hear it. Lyme treatment is hit or miss. Some things work for some people and don't work for other people because everybody's body is different. The co-infections you have are different. The symptoms you have are different. Your biochemistry is different. So sometimes it takes a while. You have to try different treatments to find what's going to work best for you. And unfortunately, there are a lot of things that come with Lyme, like autoimmune diseases, co-infections, mold exposure, heavy metals, parasites, and you're going to have to address all those things. But don't feel overwhelmed and like you have to do it all at once. Treating Lyme, or as Horowitz calls it, multiple MSIDS, multiple systemic infectious disease syndrome, there's a lot of pieces and parts to it, and you can't do it all at once. You have to do things one at a time. And it's best to find a doctor who's able to address those issues in the correct order for your body. So when people ask me what treatment should I do, it's really hard for me to say. And I say, go find a Lyme doctor, but also listen to your gut. That's my number one. That's probably my number one tip of this whole video is listen to your gut and trust your gut, because your body and your gut knows what it needs better than anybody outside of your body. A doctor may treat with antibiotics and think that's the best way, but your body may be saying, that's not going to work for me. And you may be saying, okay, I don't really want to do that, but this doctor's number one, so I'm going to trust him. And your body's like, please stop, please stop. Listen to your gut. Your gut always knows, 100%. Like, it knows. So what I say is, treatment-wise, do your research. Look into whatever maybe your doctor suggested or what you're seeing on social media. People are using herbs, people are using antibiotics, people are using ozone. Look into those. Do some research on them on your own, by yourself, and then sit with yourself and be like, what do I feel most drawn to? What's the one treatment that I think my body needs and would be most beneficial? And if it's like, I feel drawn to herbs, then do your research on herbs or find a Lyme doctor who uses herbal therapies. And there's a lot of herbal therapies out there. There's a lot of other therapies out there, but you need to trust your gut and listen to your body. You also need to do your research. Don't just come to me and say, what have you done? And I'll be like, well, I did this treatment and I think it helped. And you say, okay, it helped her or it helped these 5 people. I'm going to do that, because without researching it, because maybe it's not the right thing for you, or you don't have the same co-infections as I do or the same symptoms as I do, so it might not work for you. So do your research on treatments and then trust your gut about which direction to go to. The other biggest thing I have to say about that is, let's say you've been treating for a while with a doctor and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, or you don't like the doctor so much but they've been recommended to you. Don't ever feel like you have to stay with someone if you don't want to, and don't ever feel like you have to leave a doctor because somebody else didn't like them. This is your body and your healing process and your life. You're in control. I have walked into doctor's offices and I've just not vibed with them, and they've been like, we're gonna do this, and I'm like, nope, bye, I'm leaving. You don't match with me, we don't vibe, this is not the treatment I want to do. So don't be afraid. If you feel like you're not getting anywhere with somebody or they're not for you, don't be afraid to fire them, essentially, because they work for you, you don't work for them. So trust your gut in all of those situations. I think those are my 2 biggest like medical sides of it. You know, find a good Lyme doctor, trust your gut, and do your own research. Oh, the other medical thing that I wanted to say is that, so when I get the question like, what should I do? I just got diagnosed. What should I even be considering or looking at? Is the first thing besides Lyme that I would make sure you research and check out and figure out for yourself is mold. Because if you have mold illness, you can't heal anything else. Essentially, that's what I've learned over the years and seen and heard with other people as well. So if you're living in a moldy environment, you need to get out. It's I know that can be saying a lot or maybe not feasible at the moment, but you need to start addressing the mold issue and you need to try and get out of your moldy environment. So get yourself that Lyme doctor, get out of your moldy environment, or check into the mold situation where you're living, or where you are, or in your body. You can do mold testing both for your home and yourself, and then do your research on treatments and doctors and what direction you want to head in. I don't want to say that there's no wrong way to treat. I'm obviously opinionated, but like I said, everyone's different. Different things work for different people. And so, you know, for me, you can watch my Lyme story. Antibiotics weren't the answer. They helped. They were a lifesaver when I took them. I was on them for too long. Some doctors treat for years with that, and, you know, that's one way to go. I'm not going to comment on that right now because my thing is going to be do your research and trust your gut for treatment. On the health side is people always email me like, I just got diagnosed, like, do you have some good tips for me? Yeah, I have some good tips for you. I'm going to share them right now. So my 3 top tips are going to be, first, clean up your diet. It sucks. We all love junk food, and maybe you're used to eating a shitty, processed, eat out all the time diet regimen. It's not going to work. You're not going to heal that way. You need to clean up your diet. At the very least, eliminate gluten, dairy, and processed sugars. On top of that, I suggest eliminating corn, soy, and shitty oils like canola and vegetable, which are just plain crap and super inflammatory. I eat a paleo-based diet. I found that to be the most helpful for me and for a lot of other people. Some people eat vegan and it works great for them. But for the most part, these diets or lifestyles eliminate all the processed crappy food. That's the biggest thing. Eliminate the processed food. Stick to whole foods. Lots of greens, lots of vegetables, nutrient-dense whole foods is what you want, because that's going to provide your cells with the energy and the nutrients they need to fight infections and heal your body and support you. And it's also not going to feed the bad bugs. The bad bugs live off of sugar. They live off of inflammatory foods. You're already going to be inflamed. It's going to feed that. The bugs are going to love it. Bad bugs are going to love it. And that's going to make you sicker. So as hard as it can be, you got to cut out the crap and eat the good stuff. And the thing with that is, don't feel like you have to go cold turkey. Don't feel like you have to give up your favorite things all the time. I've dealt a lot with that, with this guilt of like, oh, I ate a cookie, I ate a gluten-free cookie, but it had sugar in it, and now totally ruined my healing process. We're all human. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. And sometimes you have to have that freaking glass of wine or have that cookie. But if the majority of the time you can be eating super healthy, you're doing your body and your healing process a huge favor. So I have lots of videos on diet. My whole Instagram is like about my diet and food related. So if you need inspiration, check that out. Lemons and Lyme on Instagram. It'll be right here. The second thing, create a self-care or detox regimen. Detoxing is super important with Lyme disease. I've talked about this 1,000,001 times, but it's really important because several reasons. One, if you are in treatment, you're going to have die-off, which is called a Herx reaction, which is when the bugs die off, they release toxins, and those toxins can increase your symptoms because it's toxicity in your body, and you'll feel worse before you feel better. So to moderate that Herx reaction, detoxing is super important, and that allows you to get rid of the acidity in your body. It allows you to like sweat out or get rid of the bad stuff quicker than if you just kind of let it go on its own. There's lots of ways to do this. I have a whole blog post on it I'm going to link. I've made lots of videos. I'll link some of those below. I do things like take baths, do saunas, coffee enemas, dry brushing, green juice. There's certain herbal tinctures that help with that, detox teas. There's so many options, but you need to create a regimen that one you can stick with and one that you enjoy. So for me, I enjoy sitting in my sauna and watching some Netflix. So I got a portable far infrared sauna so I could do that. I used to hate baths, but I've learned to love them because now I light some candles and I add some Epsom salts and I have Netflix playing so I can watch something. And I sit there and I sweat it all out and it's great. So Maybe for you, it's meditating and doing yoga that has a lot of twisting, or just yoga, but yoga with a lot of twisting is great because that helps kind of like wring you out like a sponge, so wring out the toxins. But find that routine that works for you and that you like, because you need to have a detox routine. It's really, really important. The third big thing on that side, like the personal side, is creating a support system. And this can be really hard when you get sick. A lot of people lose friends or family members because they don't understand why you're sick, or they think you're not fun anymore or whatever. I'm gonna tell you something. Fuck those people. You need to create a support system and surround yourself with the people who actually give a shit about you. It can be hard to lose people. I totally understand that, but if they can't be there for you when you're down, like, you don't want them in your life. So find friends or family members who can, and if you can't find that, turn to social media. I have met so many amazing people through social media who also suffer from Lyme or other chronic illnesses, who have been the biggest support to me. Like, I don't think I'd be here today if it weren't for them. They are my lifelines at really bad times. So reach out to, on Instagram, on Facebook, on forums, and try and find some people that you can relate to and become friends with. One thing I do want to warn you about, though, is being on forums, actually in social media in general, is that there can be a lot of negative people. And I found this especially on forums, is that a lot of people who are still sick are the ones who are still on like Lyme forums or chronic illness forums, because they're trying to find answers. So they express their negativity a lot, and people who've gotten better or don't have time for negativity aren't in those forums. So be careful with that. Same goes for social media. I'm really picky about who I connect with on social media, because there's some really negative people, and I don't need that energy in my life when I'm trying to heal. Granted, I can be super negative, especially when I'm feeling super crappy, but I have found that people, like, I don't express that on a constant basis of like, oh my god, my life sucks and everything's over. I try and find some positive outlets, and I connect with people who also are able to relate to both sides of that, and we have a good balance. So that's just a fair warning on that front. Find good people in your life, essentially, and don't be afraid. If your friends and family, yeah, it sucks when they don't get it, and you might have to educate them and just work with them, but don't be afraid to reach out to strangers, because I've made so many friends I never would have met if I hadn't gotten sick. I think those are my top tips for newbies and people with chronic illness. If you have any other top tips that have really helped you, leave them in the comments below so that we can share them in this community and help other people who may be afraid or don't know what to do right now. But I'm going to tell you that even though it doesn't feel like it, and even though sometimes I don't believe it, it is going to be okay. And this is where you're supposed to be, and you're going to learn something from it. And there's a lot of people out there like me who are willing to connect with you and help you through it. So don't be afraid to reach out if you need to talk to somebody, or need to vent, or need help, or have questions, to me or to anybody else in the community or that you know that may be able to help you. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you found it useful. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you did. It really helps support my channel. Leave any questions or comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.